Thank you so much, CP, for talking to us on China's television.
Thank you very much, Shion and channels, for this opportunity to reach out to Lagosians.
Let me start. It's been a very interesting and a very eventful day, isn't it? There's been a lot of complaints about voter suppression, violence in several places in Lagos today. What can you tell us about what has been happening on the field?
It is true that we've recorded instances of violence in some areas within the state, but the reality is that they are not as widespread as to affect the general dynamics of the process. And unfortunately, as is typical of the social media, once it's flashed, it goes viral and it alters the general perception. So yes, we have recorded cases, but the reality is that most of those instances were promptly responded to by the police because we anticipated them.
Oh, so you saw this coming?
Yes, in some instances, of course, as security practitioners, when you plan operations of this nature, you must anticipate that some elements we want to become advisories in the process. So we, of course, anticipated and we integrated that into our general operational plan, and we activated that protocol effectively in this instance. So in most of those breaches, the police were able to respond promptly.
So when you say it was widespread, there are casualties that we are hearing, but we'd like you to confirm some of these instances. Are there been casualties that your operatives have told you? What information do you have on the extent of the violence that has happened?
Well, I'm sure you are referencing the video that has gone viral where a young man was alleged to have snatched a ballot box, and the electorate swooped on him and attacked him. That in itself is illegal. Two wrongs cannot make a right. But the good news again is that, contrary to what is being spread on the social media, the young man is alive. He was rescued by the police and other security agencies, and is currently receiving medical attention. He's stable. He's not dead.
What about the instance of the military who was said to have gunned down someone who was caught with a machete? Did you hear that too?
Well, that should be within the purview of the military.
But you've not gotten that information?
I don't have details of that fact, of that development.
I mean, how much of the details of the violence and the thugs that are said to have been unleashed in several polling units, how much of that information do you have?
Well, the one within the purview of the police, we are currently compiling. Of course, a lot of arrests has been made, and recovery is also made. In most of those cases of ballot box snatching, we recovered virtually all the ballot boxes, and I'm sure by the process is still ongoing, of course, as you do know. But the reality is that most parts of Lagos, the exercise proceeded under a very peaceful and secure environment. I personally went to Ikorodu, I went to Badagry, and some other parts of Ikeja, Ikoyi, and some other parts of Lagos. And you could see the electorates carrying out their duties, their obligations in a very, very convivial, peaceful. Even in Badagry, the agents of the three major political parties were actually chatting, sitting together, and they addressed the press together, confirming that it was quite peaceful and police deployment was quite helpful.
I mean, can you give us places where these incidents of violence have happened based on the records that you have?
Yes, it will be premature to do that now. Like I said, I'm still compiling and receiving feedbacks from most of my field officers. We have our situation room, the joint ops room, that currently are working on that, and I can assure by the end of the day, I will of course share that with you.
Etiosa has been notoriously identified today as one hotbed of violence. What is the situation of things there?
Well, Etiosa so far has not presented a major challenge. Rather, where we have issues now, I think, is around the VGC, and specifically anyway, and the issue had to do more with the relocation of the polling units from within the estate to a location outside the gates. That falls within the mandate of INEC, and when my attention was drawn to it, of course, I drew the attention of the REC, to the development, and as we are speaking now, he has personally gone to the location and is trying to engage the electorates so that they can find a common ground. But I assured them when they called me that once INEC takes a conclusive decision, the police security around the place will be upscaled so that the electorates will have the confidence to, wherever it is located, they will have the confidence to exercise their franchise.
I mean, from the reports that we are getting on the ground is that of a widespread and a large-scale voter suppression enabled by violence. But you seem to say that is not happening.
Yes.
Are you getting a true picture of what is going on the ground?
I should be in a position of authority to tell you practically what is on ground, because whatever I tell you is not driven by sentiment, it's not driven by political affiliation, it's not driven by emotion. I deployed those policemen and I get constant feedback from my officers on the field as to the development. So yes, there were reported cases of security breaches, and yes, we responded to most of them. Yes, in some instances it will naturally affect the electoral process, but I can confirm that it is not widespread.
But it was destructive
in some areas.
And there are allegations that your men got late to the scene.
That can be true.
But in some cases, these events have unfolded before your men got to the scene.
Well, it is natural. I mean, if you have a polling booth and a premeditated attack got manifested there, it must happen. But the issue is that, what is our response time? Did we respond? Yes. Did we stabilize the security order? Yes. Did we secure the critical assets of INEC? Did we protect lives and property? Yes. So there's a difference between the breaches. We should also put emphasis on the response of the police. And from the feedback I know that I got, even from, because our style is, if you call in, once we deploy, we'll give you a feedback, and we also expect a feedback from you. And the feedback from most of those that call in had been that yes, police responded. A specific case is Agor Palace, okay, where we receive a similar complaint, and the person that called in, I linked him with the phone number of the officer leading the response team, and they coordinated, and he called me back to thank the police. So these things could happen, but I think the emphasis should be on the response of the police, and I can say as it stands that largely we responded in good time.
What do we say, or what are the expectations and the allegations that there is a collusion between some police officers and some of the perpetrators?
That would be unthinkable, Shio.
But these are some of the reports that are coming, and these are the allegations that are being raised by some of the people who are these violence are meted on. They said that police officers are there in cahoots with some of these guys also at some point, that they were just looking on as these guys perpetrated the violence.
But you should know that can be true. I mean, policemen with the mandate to protect, policemen that practically have been responding to such reported breaches to save them. Does it make any sense that the same police
But what do we expect from you? I mean, if you confirm that these and evidence are brought to your table, what should we expect from the police for a possible collusion of police officers with these perpetrators?
Well, if I could have pieces of evidence to justify that, definitely there are procedures, there are protocols within the system to deal with it. We withdraw on those. But one thing I know for sure, I'm yet to receive any single report of police collusion. Police collusion. I emphasize it. Police collusion. I wouldn't vouch for agencies not under my watch. But for police, I'm yet to receive such a complaint. Rather, what I've been receiving has been that of commendation for the policemen.
On the final note, this is what I would like you to, because you prepared for this election based on the information that we have, especially in Lagos. We saw those activities that you displayed before the election, especially because of the experience of the presidential election. Are you worried that those preparations could have been tainted with what has been described as massive voter suppression in Lagos?
Not at all. Rather, I'm happy that that preparation has helped us to anticipate, to project what is happening now, and to respond in the most professional and civil manner. So far, I'm yet to receive a report that policemen misuse their authority, misuse their legal capacity. So all those crisis situations are good enough. Prior to this exercise, the IG further equipped us with enough civil disorder management assets. So we effectively utilize those to address this stress. And so far, I'm sure, Sheon, you've not heard that we have policemen that has used his firearm to stabilize any, not police so far. So this preparation you referenced, the experience we drew out of the presidential elections have combined to help us to anticipate what is happening now and to effectively manage it within the context of the reality we are having now.